Hey, Savvy Squad. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Sev Talks Money YouTube and podcast, where we empower women to manage money confidently. Today's guest is Darius Lester, an active duty U.S. Air Force member, real estate and stock market investor, and founder of Mammoth Money Academy. He's here to talk about unconventional ways to make money and how parents can set their kids up for financial success. Darius, welcome
Hey,
to the Dr. Sev Talks Money podcast.
thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you and dive into all these stories that you're going to be sharing that I'm sure our listeners are going to enjoy hearing. So I like to kick off our session with a little bit of icebreaker because money is a little bit stressful when you talk about it.
Right.
So I like to kick it off with a little bit of icebreaker, a little bit of fun. So my question to you is, what's the weirdest side hustle you've ever thought about trying?
Weirdest side hustle.
And while you're thinking about it, I can share mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the weirdest one that I thought about was a rent a friend. And I thought, well, this would be a great way to meet people, a great way to, get out in the community. And then I remembered I'm an introvert. So I nixed that.
Right.
So what about you?
So something I've thought of before, very briefly, because I was like, that's probably something I shouldn't even deal with, was, they have lots of, people who get into streaming or different services on the internet, where they're just, showing their face, talking to people, around the world and things like that. I thought about trying to be some sort of middleman for that, like a manager, because I think a lot of people are having fun, with the fun part of, just being out there in the world and being the personality. But I think they're missing a lot of parts on the managerial side of maximizing the money they can make from that and things. So I thought about it briefly, but I nixed that because I just, it wouldn't be something I was passionate about.
Yeah. Gotta be passionate or care about it a little bit for it to last long term.
Right.
So you're on a journey. You're on quite a journey. Serving in the Air Force, a successful real estate and stock market investor. What first sparked your passion for financial education?
Honestly, after thinking back, now that I'm in my 30s, I kind of just was looking back over my life. I think what initially got me into it was my mother. Basically, she was, the youngest of 8 kids. And, she's my mom, so I look up to her. But I noticed that all of her, and, she'd give it to him because she's just a nice lady. But me as a child, seeing that all the time, I would see how it would stress my mom out, when they say they'd pay her back and they never would. And she'd start, kind of trying to skip out on their calls because she knows they're asking for more money. And I saw that they were a burden on her. And I think, in my child brain, that kind of resonated. And I decided I never wanted to be a burden to as not ever be a burden. The second I left the house, to go join the military, I was like, cool, I need to save money. I need to do whatever I can so that I never have to borrow a penny from my mom, because I don't ever want her to think of me as I saw her think of some of her siblings. So that kind of, after just, I didn't know that at the beginning, but looking back on my life, I think that's what kind of triggered how I am now, being real frugal, enjoying saving, enjoying growing money.
Yeah, those are early money stories really do shape the way we think about money. And I know that you have a story about a client or maybe it was a friend, I can't remember, who turned her financial situation around. She started by renting out rooms and cars and some other things. So I'd love for you to share that with our listeners. And I'm sure that somebody can hear one of the things that she did and may think, I could do that. So go ahead and tell us about that story.
Sure. So when I started doing Mammoth Money Mindset, which was my financial coaching service, most of my first customers were friends. So she was a friend and a client. It was Crystal. I actually met her in Afghanistan about, I don't know, maybe 6 years prior. Since then, she's gone ahead and retired from the military contractor because, you got to keep the lights on. Basically, since we stayed in contact, she saw a whole bunch of things I did. I was to do a lot of things. So I tried out, renting out rooms out of my house. I tried renting out vehicles. I did a few multi-level marketing things, just anything just to try it out, see how. And she heard about some of them. So she, after working with her, I was like, oh, well, you already own your house. Your kid is already moved out. You're just there by yourself.
Mhm.
And you like traveling a lot. Why don't you rent out some of your rooms? And she's like, I never thought about that. So I explained to her how I did it. And then she started using Furnish Finder, which is a website where you can rent out a home that already has furniture in it, like the name
Mhm.
sounds. And she actually started renting out 2 rooms out of her house, pretty much, on a monthly basis. Sometimes it was to some travel nurses. Sometimes it was to different construction workers that are just visiting the area. And sometimes it was just people who needed a place and didn't necessarily have things to fill that place.
Mhm.
So honestly, after doing that for about a year, she was like, man, I am making a lot of money for this. I haven't had to pay my mortgage bill, in months because the income she was bringing in from those different people renting out the rooms in her house was taking care of it.
Mhm.
It also doubled. She had an animal. Like I said, she liked to travel. A lot of the people that would stay loved to watch her dog for free. So that created more savings for her because she didn't have to, leave the dog with it. So some people are a little fearful about doing things like that, right? Letting somebody into your space that could be crazy. It is definitely up to you to do your own vetting before you let somebody, into your space.
Mhm.
But it worked out great for her. And then she did that for a year. And then the next year she saw that I was renting out vehicles. So she was like, okay, she went, I showed her how to buy a cheap vehicle for about I think like $9,000 or $10,000, and she started driving that one and rented out her prior vehicle, and she would just do that regularly. She lived relatively close to the airport. She'd rent that out, so the income she was bringing in from renting out her vehicle and the rooms in her house ended up being enough money to where she didn't need that contracting job anymore. So I remember she just sent me a long thank you Facebook message saying, "Hey, I officially, quit, my job. I'm retired now. I
Mhm.
don't have to do anything because of the income that I'm bringing in from these side businesses." So
Mhm.
that was really cool.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds wonderful because I actually and my house is actually listed on Furnish Finder.
Nice.
But it does matter where you live too, because you mentioned
Mhm.
that she lives close to the airport. So it makes it convenient, and I'm sure there are probably a lot of hospitals around there. I kind of live in the boondocks, so
Mhm.
here in Georgia, so the closest hospital is about maybe 8 miles, and with traffic,
Mhm.
it's a lot more. So
Right.
I don't get as many renters as possible, but that's okay because it does bring in a little bit of income. But I've never explored the car renting out a car. Can you
Mhm.
share a little bit about that, how that works, and if you're
Sure.
and you don't have to promote any company because they're not paying us, so we're not going to call their names.
Right. But I mean, honestly, I think there's just one big one that everybody uses, and basically, you sign up very similar to your Airbnb or your Furnish Finder, just a website and an app. Honestly, it works exactly like Airbnb. You list it, take pictures of it, say how many miles it is, all that good stuff, and you set your own price, and then different people will log on to the app. If they decide, oh, yep, that car fits my needs, they'll send you a request saying, hey, can I borrow this for a couple of days? Can I borrow it for a week? You get to set a mileage limit on there, and they'll pay, and they get to take the car. The site itself, it insures it, right? Because that's probably the biggest thing. Everybody's wondering, what if they steal my car? What if they crash my car? There's different tiers of insurance plans. You use, they'll cover the rest of it, and then you can get whatever repairs you need fixed, or if the car needs to be replaced, same thing. But it's not too bad, honestly. The biggest thing is just make sure you take before and after pictures. That's probably the most longest thing if anybody decides to get into that, because that's the only possible way you can prove somebody did something bad to your car that they didn't return. So that's probably the biggest thing is take all the pictures in the world. I don't even think there's a picture limit. Take as many as you can before and after, so that you can recoup any money that needs to be recouped. But it's not bad.
Yeah, sounds very common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're also passionate about helping young people develop strong financial habits.
For sure.
What are some of the first steps that parents can take to help your kids manage money, especially during their teen years?
That's a great question. So the system that I run to try to help the youth and my own child, I have a 14-year-old now. I think opening them a bank account is a huge first step. So I am in the military. I actually work in financial management in the military. So I handle like the paychecks and lots of different contracts and different things that go through the military. So something I notice about a lot of the young troops that come in, right? We have people come in at 17, 18, 19, 20. Lots of them have never had a bank account, right? So they're depending on things like Cash App or, other just like little payment models, and they're wanting their entire government paychecks to be sent to these apps. Lots of them aren't more frequent crashes and things. So I think a big thing we can do as parents is either go into a bank with our child to open them an account, or walk through it with them online to show them, hey, here are different accounts. Here's the difference between a big bank, a small local bank, and a credit union. Here's what you should, do. Here's the difference between a checking and a savings. Here's how the credit cards work through this bank. Walk all that through with them. I think there's too many adults just assuming that they'll figure it out, or maybe we've had our own banking system so long we don't think about our child has no idea the concept of a bank or the differences on how interest rates work and things. So I think everybody should take time, open a bank with their child to explain how that works, and then you can start getting into credit cards, and you can get into interest rates on their savings accounts and build up from there.
Yeah, I like that, because my daughter, I took her before she could speak, she had a bank account.
Right.
And so we opened at the credit union, and I would deposit birthday monies or whatever. And as soon as she could walk up, she'd be toddling into the bank. And she loved going because they gave out little suckers. And
Right.
she would toddle into the bank and deposit. And then when she got older, it was a fight because she did not want to put that money in the bank. But now she is doing regular deposits, automatic deposits, because she's developed that muscle, right? That saving muscle. So yeah, I really love that. So you mentioned your academy, Mammoth Money Academy. Talk to us a little bit about that and how kids can get involved, or parents can get involved.
Sure. So I started off with Mammoth Money Mindset, which was really just like a coaching service where I was helping different adults. Majority of them, it was helping get them out of debt, and then creating budgets and figuring out how to get into different investments to retirement or something along those lines. While I was doing that, I started to feel like if we just started earlier, right? So as opposed to, helping adults fix their $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of debt, if I can catch the kids on the front end, we can just avoid all of that. And that debt can instead be investments. And then, we'll start having a generation, retiring way sooner than, 65. I'm planning on retiring, maybe at 40 or so. And I would love to enable others to do that as well. And honestly, with the Mammoth Money Academy, my goal is for anyone to be able to do that, right? You don't have to be a doctor. I got to be a football player, basketball player, rapper, pharmacist, right? None of those things. It doesn't matter what job you have. If you decide you want to be a janitor at an elementary school for your entire life, that's okay. You're still going to retire with more than $1 million if you follow our plan. So I'm really excited about it. I started with doing weekly classes, right? So people will join the academy, and then we'll get on a live call every week and go on a different financial topic. This month's banking. So one of our guys just opened up his first high yield savings account.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. And he was like, yeah, I've heard of these before, but I just never did it. So just right there on the call, it's like, okay, let's jump online, right? Just shared screen to the internet. I'm like, here we go. Here's a list of them. Here's the differences between them. Here's their different interest rates. Which one do you like and why? And we found one that's giving 4.3% interest annually. So I was like, okay, let's go look at it. Do these fit your needs? And they did. So we went ahead and opened it up, and he has it created. So now we're working on a budget or a plan on how he's going to add to that account, every month, or he does a little investing on the side. So he's going to take a percentage of anything he makes out of investments into that account. So it's fun. We try to keep it interactive. And what I'm working on now is improving it. So right now, it's about like $75 a month to be a part of it. And we're just meeting every week and going over things like this. That amount is going to increase because I'm going to add like 10 times the value to it. The price is going to go up by 10, but I'm gonna add 10 times the value, because walking through that with him, I realize even if somebody's heard of these concepts, I can tell somebody to go invest. I can even tell them, hey, go invest in this stock, and this, index fund. They're never going to do it just because of that bridge of not knowing exactly what to click, where to go, like that done for you system. So that's what I'm incorporating into the academy. I'm gonna just set aside pretty much like a month or two where I'm just recording. All right, you want a bank? Here's me going through this. Here's how you open up a bank. Here's the different ones. I'm not telling you what bank. I don't care what bank you go to, honestly, but here you can make an informed decision, right? Same thing with investment accounts. Here's 8 different investment apps you can go to. Here's how you start. Here's the things they're going to ask for. They're going to want your social. Don't freak out. All of them will ask for your social, right? Because that's the thing. That's a deterrent. Some people be like, "Ooh, this asks for my social. I don't want to put that in there." You have to. That's a part of it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to releasing that. It'll be a whole course. So even outside of the weekly live meetings, people, students can just go through the modules themselves and open accounts and learn the habits, fix their mindsets, everything. It should be really good.
Yeah, this sounds awesome. And I think that's a smart strategy to record these things, so you're not keep repeating the stuff. You're creating evergreen content that they can access whenever they're ready to access whatever module. So I think this is a great process that you're creating. So how can if somebody wants to join, is it only online, or do they have to come physically into the location? Do you have a website that they could go to sign up?
Yes. So it's all online. It's virtual. I wanted to do it that way because, right now I'm located in Montgomery, Alabama, but like we said, I'm in the military, so I'm moving around every couple of years. And I thought that if it's online, no one has an excuse for missing out on it, right? Different people in different school systems are like, oh, my school doesn't teach this. My kid never got a chance to learn this. I don't know this, so my kid was behind the 8 ball. They didn't learn this. I didn't want any of those excuses. So I was like, hey, it's online. Anyone, anywhere can access it. Let's get this information to our kids so that they can, succeed. I cannot wait to see both of my kids do way better than I am, because the stuff I'm teaching my son now, I didn't learn until a couple of years ago. And now he's 14 and he has an investment account. He's picking stocks. Like, he's coming and telling me about different stocks, and it warms my heart. But yeah, So honestly, if anybody's interested in joining, like I said, I'm still building out the module part, but the weekly classes are online. If you could go to my YouTube, it's at Mammoth Money Mindset on YouTube. You can reach out to me. Mammoth Money Mindset is also on Instagram, either or. Just go there. I have more videos, a whole bunch of free content on how you can get your kids started into the stock market, how you can get them high yield savings, how you can get their credit score, risen before they even get their first car or credit card. Just a whole bunch of little things to help parents help their kids be better with money. But yeah, I'd love anybody to come out and join, ask me any questions. I'm pretty available guy.
Yeah, I love this. And I know of the power of educating your kids. Because my daughter, as I shared before, she has two high yield savings account, one that's specific for something, and then one that in case anything happens. She's contributing to her 401k. She's doing IRAs through Roth IRAs through Vanguard. She's doing all these things, and she sees me doing the stuff, and then she came to me and she asked, "What was that thing? What was that company again?" And then I told her. So, I didn't browbeat her, but she saw what I did. She saw that I was able to spend. She saw how I was able to live because of the choices that I made financially.
Yes.
So if you're listening to us, please go ahead and check it out. And it's at Mammoth Money Mindset on YouTube. And I'm going to have the link for all of that inside the show note on the podcast platforms and on YouTube. So I have to ask you this. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self in the Air Force one piece of financial advice, what would it be?
Definitely have to be something investment related. Be the main thing. Probably that's hard. There's so many helpful things. Oh, you know what? Probably take some of your savings and go purchase some financial coaching, because it's like I could tell them go invest in Apple, go, buy a house sooner, so on and so forth. But all of those would just lead to only one thing happening. Whereas if I go ahead and confirm, hey, getting help from other people works, and then my younger self went ahead and started learning from somebody else that has as much experience or maybe more than I do right now, that would help me in multiple facets. So yeah, I think that probably my best advice is to go and get help from somebody that's already doing all these things that, I either want done or, have thought about doing or, hope to see myself do in the future.
Yeah, I think that's solid advice. You want to get help, because a lot of young people, sometimes they listen to what somebody else is doing. So somebody says, "Oh, crypto is the thing," so they'll do that,
right?
And then they'll say, "Oh, now it's Apple or whatever." So they're riding the wave of popularity rather than having a cohesive strategy. So I think that's great advice, to really go talk to somebody who can help you look at the big picture and put things together.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So anything else that you would like to share that you think would be pertinent for whether it's a young person listening or an adult, that you think would be appropriate for them to hear right now to spark a desire to start doing something, because the economy is crazy and it's going to get crazier. So you have to do something, right? So what are some things that you think somebody listening to us may need to hear?
A lot of people I talk to when I bring up investing say, "Oh, I've heard of that," or "I've always been meaning to do that." Go do it. Like stop thinking about it. Stop waiting. Literally every day you wait is money you've missed out on, or money that you've spent on something that's not going to benefit you in the future. Go invest now. Invest in yourself, please. If you think you're too far gone, which I don't think you are, but if you feel like you're too far gone, your child isn't. So go invest in your child. If you don't have the knowledge, go pay for the knowledge. What, a couple hundred, even if you had to spend a few $1,000s now, if that saves them from tens or $20,000 in debt, that sounds like a win to me. Like go do it now. Money is a river; it flows. You can't get anything without giving anything. I get it; it's scary, but being scared your whole life isn't going to make you any better. Just because you didn't come from money doesn't mean money can't come from you. Go pull the trigger and get some help, get your kids some help, so that you guys in your future lineage can succeed as well.
Yes, I love that, because value, no matter what you're investing, think of it not as an expense, but as an investment in you
Right.
and in your children's life. And the value that you're going to get from it far surpasses any investment that you could make
Right.
into educating yourself and making sure you get further ahead. Now, there are parents who, I've had parents tell me, a couple of them, that, well, my kid, I struggled, so my kid needs to learn how to struggle too. And I'm not going to give them anything. They need to leave the house by 18. I don't believe in that philosophy at all. Because why should my child struggle because I did? Why not share the lessons? So,
Right.
and I know that you believe that financial education should be simple and empowering. So, what's one piece of advice you give to someone who maybe feels overwhelmed by personal finance? Their parents left them out, hang them out to dry, leave them alone. What piece of advice would you give them to help them take control of their financial future?
Actually, I guess something interesting. I might mess this up because I drove back from Virginia. I was visiting my wife a couple of days ago, and while I was driving, I was listening. I listen to podcasts a lot, right? Different interviews, and it was Myron Golden. I don't know if you've heard of him. Good guy, and he had a guest. I can't remember his name at the moment. He's an author, but basically, he said that the reason a lot of people don't succeed is because they are basing their decisions today off of their past instead of off of their future.
Like
And I
that.
was like, yeah, no, it was really good. And, because he was like, a lot of stuff, something bad happened to you in the past, you're basing the stuff you do today off of that. Even if something good happened to you in the past, you're basing the things you do today off of that. And he was saying what everyone should do if they want to really succeed and really get ahead in life is base their decisions off of their future. So they need to focus on their future, decide on what they want to happen right now, and then make all of their actions based off of that. So when it comes to parenting and stuff, I'm not thinking about to me, who was around, who wasn't around, none of that stuff. I think I used to base it off of that, but I'm basing it off, okay, what's my desired future for myself? What's my desired future for my child? Is my desired future for my child to struggle? If so, I need to get checked out. There's something wrong with me, right? My desired future for my child is for them to succeed. Like I said, I want them to exceed, what I've done. I want them to blow me out the water.
Yes.
And if I'm taking that into mind with what I'm doing today, I should be giving them every single piece of knowledge, every dime, whatever I can right now, so that they have, they start off high, so they can go ahead and bust through those expectations. So that's probably what I would say is, I get it. Some people have trauma, lots of stuff they're working through. But to the best of your ability, try to focus on the future and what you want to happen, and then make decisions today based off of that.
Yeah, and that is a great place for us to end our podcast today. Darius, thank you so much for joining me. And again, for those of you who are listening, all of his contact information will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, and also your experience with working with other people. And again, before you go, where is the best place for them to find you?
Yep. It's Mammoth Money Mindset. It's on YouTube. You'll see this face all over it. You'll see my daughter's face because sometimes I can't find anybody to watch her. So she's just sitting there. She's 6 months. She's beautiful. But yeah, it's Mammoth Money Mindset. Go on the YouTube. On my YouTube videos, you'll see links to if you're interested in having your kids join the academy, or if you just want to sit down and have a talk with me, about potentially letting them join, or if you just have your own finance questions, all those links should be on the YouTube channel. And it's also Mammoth Money Mindset on Instagram if you wanted to reach out to me there.
Okay, awesome. So as we get ready to wrap up, I want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, leave a review and a rating. If you listen on Spotify, leave a rating. And very important for you to know, as you are completing your ratings, remember that we absolutely love the number 5. Until then, this is Dr. Sev saying stay savvy, and we'll see you next time.